Okay, so for this project, we're going to be making plastic bag yarn. So the first thing you're going to do is take your plastic bag and flatten it out as smoothly as you can. I'm going to show you two ways of making plastic bag yarn. Our flattened out plastic bag. Now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut off the bottom seam of the plastic bag, and I'm going to try to keep it a very straight line. And then smooth it out again. Alright, so now we're going to fold the bag. So you're going to take the bottom edge and fold it up almost to the top, but leave about an inch and a half, or like 3 centimeters at the top there. So we leave a space there, fold it up like so. And try to make sure that the edges here are very well lined up. Okay, so now we're going to fold it again, like this, meeting the fold we made before, and again. And smooth it out. We're going to start cutting strips into the folded bag all the way along and try to keep them about the same width, about an inch or a little less than an inch, so about maybe 2 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters, something like that. It doesn't have to be any specific width, but you don't want to go too thin or your yarn will break, and you don't want to go too thick. And we're not going to cut this part, so this part is going to stay intact. So just the folded part. And then when you get to the end, where you have the handles, just cut it all the way through. So we have these pieces, we're gonna put these aside for now, the end pieces. Okay, so now we have our bag all cut into strips like this. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to unfold it. This is where it becomes a little bit tricky. So we're going to open up. So this edge is folded here. We're going to unfold it. And we're going to lie the bag flat the other way. So you can kind of put your arms inside to flatten out that top part. And as you can see, all these strands that we cut have become loops. But they're all attached together by that top part that we didn't cut through. So, again, like I mentioned, it can be a little bit tricky, but you just want to flatten it out so that this top part that's not cut is flat. So I hope you can see that. So we have all our strands going off the top part in different directions. And our top part that we didn't cut through is this strip here. Okay, so once you have your bag laid out flat like this, with this section here being the part that we didn't cut out before, that we didn't cut across, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut diagonally from here to there, to that space in between these two pieces. So you're going to cut like this, and make sure you're not getting through the plastic bag yarn underneath. You're just going through the top layer. So cut diagonally to there, and then this piece disconnects, and this is the first end of your yarn. So you set that aside, and it's still connected down here. And as you can see, if I do the exact same thing again, so I insert my scissors right here in between these two pieces, and I cut diagonally over to there, I now have the beginning of a long continuous piece of my plastic bag. And so I'm going to keep doing that all the way along. So I go into this first space here. I cut diagonally to that space there. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way across. And just go slow, and every time you make a cut, you can see the yarn that you've created, and it should always still be attached to the main bag. Okay, so once you've cut all your diagonals, you're going to have what looks like a big streamer of yarn. And so you're done, basically. As you can see, the yarn is a big flat piece like this, but when you use it, it very easily kind of twists or compresses into a strip, and that will be what we're using for our weaving. So to wrap it into a skein or a ball to use, you're just going to put it across your hand, hold it with your thumb like this, and just wrap it around, and you can tuck that loose end in. And there you have your first ball of plastic bag yarn. It starts off the exact same way as the previous method, where we're going to take our plastic bag and we're just going to flatten it out completely. So for this method, just like in the last one, the first thing we need to do is cut off this bottom edge of the bag. So then we're going to cut off the handles. So you can see here there's an edge where it's kind of bumpy, so we'll just go just inside of that edge and we'll cut off the handles. Now, just like last time, we're going to fold our bag, but this time we're just going to fold it completely so one edge meets the other. And then we're going to fold it again. And again. And then with our scissors, we're just going to cut it into strips. So this time, our yarn is not going to be one continuous strand. We're going to have to do a little bit of work to attach these strands together. But what makes this potentially a little bit easier is that there's no finicky cutting and that diagonal cutting thing. We don't have to worry about that. Once we have all our pieces, we can start to open them up, and so we have these loops. So the other reason that this method is not my favorite is because the yarn, when you make the yarn in this method, it's always going to be double thickness. So the yarn is always going to be this. It's going to be made up, each strand of yarn is going to be made up of 2 strips of the plastic bag, so you don't get quite as much yarn from one bag. We're now going to attach the loops together to create the yarn. So the first thing to do is to put one loop in front of you like this. Take the next loop and lie it over top. Now, take this end of the loop and put it under itself. So this is the same loop. This goes over here and under here, like this, and then back out, pull it tight, and they're attached together with a knot. And then that is the beginning of our strand of yarn. So I'm going to show you that again. Okay, so I have my unattached loop there. This is the loop that is attached to my strip of yarn. I put it over top. Then I lift this piece up. This one goes over that one, under this one. Okay. Then I take this one that went through and I bring it back to where it was and I pull it tight. So that knot can be a little bit tricky to get the hang of. Okay, so this time to keep track of the ends, I'm going to mark one of them with a marker just so that you can follow along. So This is the one we're trying to attach. So we put it under like this. Now follow that X. So it goes over the one we're attaching it to, and then it goes under itself. Okay, then it goes back to the side it was on at first, and then we pull these two tight. Okay, so now we've attached together all of these loops, and we have our yarn. And like we did last time with the other method, we're going to wrap it into a ball. So, same idea. All right, and there's our 2 balls of plastic bag yarn.